Hello everyone and welcome back. I am so happy today. I'm going to share with you something that I love, my spices. Today we're going to see in detail some of the spices, how I use them, how they help to enhance the flavor of anything that you cook, how to store them, where to buy them from. So if you are new to the world of spices, this video is definitely for you. I have grown up with spices all my life. Everything that we cook has tons of spices in it. Even our tea, even our sweets, everything has to have spices. Why use spices? So spices are generally used for three purposes in your food. They enhance flavor, they give aroma, and they act as natural color agent. It can be tricky to buy your spices. Where do you buy from? How to preserve them? So it's best to buy whole spices. Cinnamon and cloves and black pepper. It's best when they are bought whole because the flavor lasts longer. Fresh is always better than dried. Garlic, ginger, onion, these roots are best used fresh. Dried, powdered, never give you the same flavor or the same texture as fresh can. Buy at a busy store where shelves are restocked frequently. If you are new to Spice World, I would recommend you buy some of the basic spices, which we will talk about in a moment, 2 or 3 to begin with. Then over time, get yourself one new spice, try it with different flavors, with different dishes, and then add on to your spice collection. Buy small amounts. Spices can lose their flavor, their color very quickly. Light, heat, air, humidity, all are bad for spices. So if you are not somebody who uses spices very frequently, do not buy in larger quantity. You can have more variety, but buy them in smaller quantities. You can do what I'm doing today. For example, you can buy in plastic bags, but decant them in your own bottles, which are airtight. These are nice for presentation, but ideally spices should be kept in light-proof bottles. A bottle of wood or metal is best so that it blocks not only air and humidity but also light, which does affect the spice's quality. Traditionally, every Indian household has a masala dabba. I don't have it, but that's a big container with smaller containers inside. Now, it's very convenient. I do understand. I also have my spices. This is my spice box, my spice dabba, which I keep beside my cooking range, but I use spices a lot and I fill these boxes very frequently because I use them. They get empty very quickly. If you are not somebody who's using spices very often, it's very convenient to have them as close to you as possible, but fill them with very little quantity so that it does not go bad. Besides the cooking range, the humidity is very high when we're boiling water, making pasta, making rice. A lot of water evaporates in that area. Spices do come with an expiry date. This is something very controversial. My husband and I always argue about it, but traditionally in my house, we bought all spices from local market where most of the spice sellers were the ones who were actually producing those spices, and spices never came with an expiry date. You can see a spice if it has gone bad. Generally, spices can last much longer. Now the thing is that they do not go bad, but definitely their flavor, their color over time does get affected, which means, does that mean you cannot use them? You can. Probably after a month, black pepper would not be as strong in flavor and smell, especially smell, as the freshly ground one. So probably if I'm using this black pepper after a couple of weeks after it's been powdered, I would need to add more quantity. So yes, they won't taste exactly the same, but no, they won't go bad. So if they are slightly lighter in color or they don't smell as aromatic as before, you can still use them. So before we begin, I'd like you to tell me which one is your favorite spice. If there's one spice that speaks to you and you enjoy it, and if there's any spice that you would like us to make a separate video on that, on various uses of that spice, please let us know. Let's talk about some of the basics of using spices. Now, for an Indian household, the most important spices that we use every single day is red chili, turmeric powder, and salt. These three spices are the basic trio. So if you are new to using spices, you can just begin with these three. Salt is not a spice, it's a mineral. Red chili, you can find several kinds of red chili, from Kashmiri red chili to Mexican and so many other kinds of red chilies. Now, red chili gives the base and intensity and also color. Turmeric powder, it's a bitter root. It has peppery flavor. It gives yellow color. It complements red chili very perfectly. It's a warm spice. You don't want to overuse it. Half a teaspoon of turmeric powder is good for 1 kilo of meat. Turmeric powder is also known for its medicinal properties. It's anti-inflammatory and antioxidant. It's also used as something that we called golden milk. That's warm milk, black pepper, and turmeric, occasionally mixed with honey or ginger or even some cinnamon. It is believed to help sleep better. Black pepper is earthy and slightly spicy. It's less spicy than red chili. These are black peppercorns. You can buy them in the form of whole spice, or you can buy them in powder form. Now, if you talk about flavor, the best thing is that you buy black pepper in the whole form. It preserves the flavor much better, and then you can grind it when you need. You do not add black pepper early on in cooking, because the more it gets cooked, it loses its flavor. Next, we're going to talk about cinnamon. It's one of my favorite spices. There's something so special about it. It's very delicate, sweet smell. I have not met many people who don't like cinnamon. I use cinnamon in almost everything. It's excellent for stew, for soups. When I'm making stock, I add a stick of cinnamon. It's very good with rice dishes. I also use cinnamon in most of my sweet dishes. I use it in my hot chocolate. I use it in my biscuits. I use it for so many things. It does go very well together with nutmeg and with cloves. It's also delicious for making tea. Brew it, boil it for some time in water, add some ginger, some cloves, and cardamom. You'll make delicious tea. Serve it with some honey and lemon. Next, I want to talk about my green cardamom. Green cardamom is I call it a mystery spice. It's sweet. In ancient times, people would chew it. It freshens your breath. It's used in something that we call pan, and this also goes very well both with savory and sweet dishes. I personally use also in rice, in pulao, together with black cardamom. Black cardamom has slightly stronger flavor. It's not as sweet as green cardamom. It's bigger in size, and so the real flavor comes from the seed that's inside the shell. How you use it, you just crack it open. It's great in nihari, in pulao, in chickpeas, boiled rice, especially for korma. The only thing is that its seed, while you're eating, if they come in your mouth, they're not, it's very strong. and pungent, so you don't want to chew it. So it's best if you're using in the whole form, you open it, you let it cook, and before you serve, you just pick this out. Otherwise, another way of using it is you take the seed out. These are tiny little balls. This is how individual seed is. And then you can just crush the whole thing along with other spices. That we're going to talk about is clove. Clove is earthy and sweet. It has a flowery smell. It gives a warm flavor to the dishes. It's used equally in savory and sweet things. It has a beautiful flower-like shape. It's also an ornamental spice. You'll see a lot of traditional Christmas decorations made with this. This is never used in powder form because it is very strong in flavor. It's used in rice, stock, pulao, soups. 3 to 4 cloves are enough to add flavor. It's best cooked for a longer time on low flame, especially for dishes made with meat. It's a perfect ingredient because it helps take away the smell of raw meat. This is crushed cumin seeds. Cumin seeds are used whole, split, or powder. This is crushed. You can find some split cumin seeds in here and some is in powder form. This is I've ground it. This has a very nice earthy smell. It has an earthy peppery flavor to it. It works to deepen the flavor of chili or other spices. In whole form, it's one of the most essential spices in making stock or bone broth. In split form, they are ideal for making samosas, pakoras, fritters. If you're making broth with it, you add it and let it simmer slowly for a longer time, like clove. But if you're using in split or powder form, it does not need to be cooked too much. It loses its aroma. It goes very well in combination with cumin. Next, I have nutmeg. It's slightly sweet. It's perfect in savory and sweet dishes. It's used for baked goods, for drinks. It's perfect for fall inspired recipes, also for Christmas inspired recipes. Together with cinnamon and clove, it creates beautiful aroma. This is also very strong in flavor, so you need to use very little of it. It's also used in korma and halim, some of those dishes where a lot of spices are added to give them very special flavor. Next, I have paprika. It is not a typically Indian spice. In the recent years, people have started using paprika, but I first used it when I came to Europe, and it gives a very nice red color to your food. And now I use it more often because my children do not eat chili. This helps give the color without actually giving a very hot flavor. This is made from red bell pepper, dried red bell pepper, and it's much milder in flavor. Now the most controversial spice. This is curry powder. I have grown up in the world of spices, but I first ever heard of curry powder when I went to England. Curry powder is actually a blend of various spices, but we do not use it. I've started using it here because to Italian palate, this goes much better. It's a blend of various spices and we generally add those spices individually to our dishes. However, now that I use it, I guess it's not a bad option for beginners because it has already created a balance of various of these spices that we have talked about. Some of the main ingredients of this are coriander, turmeric, cumin, black pepper, garlic. So the things that we have talked about individually. On the other hand, a blend of spices that we very commonly use is called garam masala. This is also a blend, but the ingredients are slightly different between these two spices. For example, in curry powder, you will find turmeric and chili powder and salt, mustard, garlic. All these are not used in garam masala. Few things on how you can use these spices. One is blooming. Blooming means you gently heat the spices in oil to get all their flavors out. Blooming is also called tempering. Okay, I will stop here, although I can go on and on with these spices forever. I hope you enjoy cooking with spices and experimenting with new flavors. You can find some Indian recipes below in the description, and let me know if there is any Indian recipe that you would like me to make for you. I'd be more than happy. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself. Enjoy cooking with spices, and see you next time.